Andy had lived in his home for almost 8 years now. He liked to spend most of his time in an unusually large room he used exclusively as a home movie theater. Andy was a well-rounded fellow. He went to the local golf course every Monday, played his bass guitar almost routinely, but he could be a real shut-in. Hours upon hours were invested in his movie room. Some days Andy would just grab a stack of DVDs from his movie collection and go through all of them in one sitting. He was smart enough to not grab too many, but it didn't matter if it ended at 10 p.m. or 4 a.m. Andy would watch every last one no matter how long it took. He'd still be ready and on time for work at 2 p.m. sharp, even if he was exhausted. There was a particularly gloomy day Andy just felt a bit out of it. Something didn't feel right about his movie room. He had the popcorn dispenser on the right near the entrance, a small display of candy near it, the massive TV with surround sound, but something felt empty. Andy slumped into the back row of seats, resting his head on his hands. He muttered the words, "Sometimes I wish I had a real movie theater." Out of nowhere, a puff of smoke spontaneously appeared, frightening Andy into hiding behind the popcorn dispenser. Staring with confusion at the smoke screen, Andy could see a silhouetted figure standing in it. The smoke slowly clearing. Only a man wearing an old-fashioned cap and security uniform remained, flashlight in hand. He appeared to be in his 30s or 40s, with a mature, slightly aged face. "Did someone here want to watch movies?" Andy slowly nodded, stammering, I did?" "Well then, you've come to the right place." The guard looked around, observing his surroundings. Not too shabby. Still not the same as the old place, but not bad." Andy was confused. My apologies. I'm Walter. This here used to be a small theater back in the 1940s. I was one of the few security guards they had. Some people thought this place was only for the poor and penny pinchers, but to me it was the best in town. The room transformed into a small movie auditorium. Everything appeared to be rather primitive and from decades ago. Now that's more like it. I used to walk up and down these corridors every night this place was open. Walter gestured towards one of the rows of seats. "Come now, Andy. Don't be a stick in the sand. Have a seat." Andy reluctantly came out from behind the massive vintage popcorn dispenser, which looked much older than the one he had. Sitting down, he noticed most of the seats were occupied by dummies, all of them displaying cheerful, happy faces. "What's with the dolls?" Walter glanced at the dummies. "Just here to make sure the seats look less empty." Andy began to calm down and relax a bit as he admired the beauty and style of the empty theater. "It draws you right in, doesn't it? People love this place. With all its charisma and the latest films, people would come from miles for a night out or hot dates at the movies. So what do you say, Andy? Are you ready for the world's greatest movie theater?" An immediate desire swept over Andy. He felt compelled to oblige. "Of course, I'm ready." Walter gently rested a white-gloved hand on Andy's shoulder. "There will be a small admission fee, but I'm sure you're good for it, right?" Andy nodded anxiously. Yeah, I can pay. Whatever you want. When can I start watching?" Walter grinned wickedly. "Right now." The auditorium entrance door quietly shut itself, and the projector screen came to life. "Think of any movie you want to watch, and it will start playing. Popcorn?" Walter held out an extra-large bag of steaming buttery popcorn. After taking the snack, Andy glanced to his left to notice a tall, cold soda. His seat was so comfortable, he felt he could just fall asleep in it. Everything was perfect. Andy had never enjoyed watching movies this much. He completely forgot about anything outside of the room, only wanting to enjoy the experience given to him. Eventually, Walter tapped his shoulder after one of the films ended. "Excuse me, sir, but I'd like to see your admission ticket now. Andy gave him a confused look. I don't think I have one. Walter's kind face turned into a stern expression. You said you could pay. You wouldn't lie to me, would you, Andy? No. Andy rummaged through his empty pockets. I really don't have a ticket. Walter shook his head and smiled. That's okay, Andy. You don't need one. Patting his shoulder, Walter warned, but you will pay. The projector screen shut off, and wooden restraints swept out of Andy's seat, trapping his legs and arms. Walter took his nearly empty popcorn bag and munched on a few pieces as Andy's feet and legs slowly started turning to wood. He pleaded for help and struggled to free himself, but Walter only watched, not a shred of sympathy in his cold eyes. His body now transformed from the neck down. Andy's terror was more evident than ever. His face froze into a horrified scream. Walter tossed the popcorn bag into a nearby trash can and closed Andy's wooden jaw, pushing his lips up into a happy smile. He moved Andy's head about, making him look at all the other dummies. Now you know why they're here. A month or two later, a family was observing Andy's house, considering buying it. The father peered inside a window to see the now empty movie room, all of Andy's belongings removed. Hey kids, come look at this. A few small children hurried up to the window. This would be great for watching all of your movies in, don't you think? The kids nodded excitedly. Walter watched them as he slipped the auditorium floor with the broom. My thoughts exactly.